الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة دلالة وكل دلالة في النار. Verily, all the praise and all of the glorification and all the magnification, it is due to Allah and Allah alone. I publicly, I inwardly, and I outwardly testify and magnify Allah Ta'ala alone as the deity to be worshipped. And there is no other deity to be worshipped except for Allah Ta'ala. And I bear witness that Mustafa Al-Amin Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Abu Qasim, he is the finality of messenger sent to guide mankind from the darkness into the light. أئمة الاعتقاد أئمة سلف أمة قال سفيان بن عيينة السنة عشرة فمن كن فيه فقد استكمل السنة ومن ترك منها شيئا فقد ترك السنة. أولا إثبات القدر. Sufyan rahimahullah wa rahmatullahi wasi'ah, one of the great scholars from the past, he had written a great work on the Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And he said in this Aqidah that from the people of Ahl Sunnah is that whoever they establish these 10 points, and if they establish these 10 points, they have completed the Sunnah, meaning the belief of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and if they have left off any of them, then they have left the Sunnah, meaning the Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Awalan, from the first point that he brought, ya ikhwan, ya akhawat, is the point, ithbat al-qadr, the establishing of the qadr. And many of the Muslims, many of those who say with their tongue that they believe in Allah on the last day, either they don't understand the issue of al-qadr, or they deny the qadr, or they're ignorant of the issue of Al-Qadr, ya ikhwan. And as we know, and as the ulama al-Rabbaniyun, they have said that Al-Qadr, it is from amongst the articles of faith. As we know, آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ وَكُتُبِهِ وَرُسُلِهِ وَيَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ وَقَدْرِهِ وَخَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ وَحُرِّهِ وَمُرِّهِ وَمِنَ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. That from the articles of Iman, the things that make you a believer in Allah in the last day, is that you believe in this issue of Qadr. Allah Ta'ala, He has mentioned many ayat explaining the Qadr, ya ikhwan. And we know that we are supposed to believe in Allah, believe in His books, believe in His messengers, believe in the final day, believe in the books, and believe in Yawm al-Qiyamah, and to believe in the Qadr. Many of the Muslims, when something happens to them that they do not like, they get very upset, they scoff, they may pull off their clothes, they may even curse. But the issue, ya ikhwan, is the issue of Al-Qadr. You are not a believer in Allah in the last day if you do not accept the Qadr. And I'm going to say this over and over again. A so-called famous imam in Toronto, who the Muslims, because we have a vacuum where there's no ulama amongst us, because he's mutakallim and he's on the TV a lot, the community pushed him up very high, in a high status. And due to him being a person who never studied the usul of the religion, not knowing the basics of the religion, but because he could debate with the Christians about religion, the community pushed him up. And unfortunately, we gave him the makan, we gave him the mawqif of giving the khutbah. And he said, as one of my best friends, seeing him with his own eye, and heard him with his own ears say that Allah does not know the future until it happens. Denying the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the community still continued to push him up because he's mutakallim. He can give a good lecture. He can debate with the Christians, and it makes us feel strong that we have someone that can debate the Christians. But he never took the time, ya ikhwan, to learn the basics of this issue. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He went on to say, وَكَانَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ قَدْرًا مَقْدُورًا. Allah's command is a determined decree. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He went on to say, قُلْ يَسِيبُنَا إِلَى مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا كُلَّ يُسِيبُنَا إِلَى مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا وَهُوَ مَوْلَانَا وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَيَتَوَكَّلُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He went on to say that if anything befalls you, if you get into an accident, if you lose your job, if you've cut your finger off, if you've lost an eye, ya ikhwan, this is a punishment. This is something that Allah has decreed. Allah has written it. But the believers are those who rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is our protector, ya ikhwan, ya akhwat. So why is it the Muslims, they don't understand this issue of qadr? You are not a believer in Allah in the last day until you understand this issue of al-qadr. And as the ulama rabbaniyun, they wanted to explain to the believers that the qadr, and explaining it from the istilahi meaning and the shari'i meaning, it has, ya ikhwan, this issue that we're going to break down. Al-qadaa wal-qadr. Al-qadaa wal-qadr. Al-qadaa, as the ulama wanted to say, it means the perfect command, the perfect decree, the perfect ruling, the perfect precision in the execution. And al-qadr means the ability of Allah, where He knew, where He wrote, where He willed, and where He created all things in due proportion. So ya ikhwan, the ulama, they go on to break it down into a more easier way of understanding it. Al-qadaa, it is the perfectly precise execution and the accomplishment of all things predestined to occur exactly in accordance with Allah's previous knowledge, with His previous writing, and His previous will. Al-Qadr means the predestination of things, and then the predestination matter occurs, and it is called Al-Qadr. So Al-Qadr means, ya ikhwan, the predestination of things, and when the predestination matter occurs, then it is the Qadr. So ya ikhwan, To make it very simply, both of these, they come hand in hand. So as for the first one, it is Allah Ta'ala, His command and His accomplishment. And Al-Qadr is when it happens. So Allah, He knew these things, and then when it happens, then it's Al-Qadr. Many of the Muslims, ya ikhwan, when you try to get into these issues, these usul and the furu, they say, I have no time for that. I have to go watch the basketball game. I have to go watch the football game or the cricket game, or I got something more important. And this, ya ikhwan, this principle in Islam, if we didn't learn it before, let us go, ya ikhwan, go to the Islamic bookstore, purchase a book on this issue so we can understand. So, ya ikhwan, the ulama, they go on to explain, and this is one of those khutbahs, ya ikhwan, that is knowledge-based, al-dawabit. We find, ya ikhwan, that they went on to say that the first thing, the 4 ranks, what they call the anwa of the aqsam of qadr, they're in 4 different groups. Number 1, al-ilm. Allah Ta'ala went on to say, Inna Allaha bi kulli shay'in alim. Verily Allah, He is the knower of every single thing. In this book that I got it from ya ikhwan, there must be at least another 10 ayat and 10 hadith proving this point. Verily Allah, He is the knower of everything. So as that so-called imam said, that Allah, He does not know the future until it happens, then this eradicates his belief. Also, ya ikhwan, the second issue, ya ikhwan, is al-kitaba, the writing. كتب الله مقادير الخلائق أن يخلق السماوات والأرض 50,000 سنة أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. That Allah Ta'ala in this hadith, as the Prophet said, that Allah had fashioned and created every single thing 50,000 years before the heavens and the earth came together. So if you were to get into a car accident and start saying, oh, astaghfirullah, this happened, this is a terrible thing. No, ya ikhwan, that Allah had decreed for you to have that situation 50,000 years, not now, but before the heavens and the earth were put together, and only Allah knows when that happened, that it was written. And there's a little side issue, ya ikhwan. Many of the Muslims, if you ask them, what is al-law al-mahfuz? What is the prescribed tablet? It is, ya ikhwan, the knowledge of Allah, that every single thing from the beginning of creation to the end, it is written in this law al-mahfuz. Number 3, al-mashi'ah, the will of Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala went on to say, and there's many ayat that back this up. We're just bringing one due to the time. Inna Allaha yaf'alu ma yurid. Verily, Allah does what He wills. Nobody can will Allah to do anything. That's why, ya ikhwan, the Muslim, if he really understands the issue of insha'Allah, and many of us these days, we've been using it in an inappropriate way. These days, we understand it not the way that the Sahaba and the A'immat Salaf al-Ummah, how they understood it. We say, inshallah means I'm not going to be there at 3 o'clock to pay my debt. I'm not going to be there to help the brothers out. I'm not going to be there at 6 o'clock to clean the masjid. Yeah, inshallah I'll be there, meaning no. No, ya ikhwan. Inshallah means that you're going to do your best to be there. And if Allah wills it, then inshallah ta'ala, you're going to come through. And the fourth point, ya ikhwan, khalq. Allah Ta'ala, He says, ذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ رَبَّكُمْ خَالِقُ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ. That Allah, He is your Lord, and He is the creator of everything. So everything that is created, ya ikhwan, it is from, we find, inshallah ta'ala, from the divine will of Allah Ta'ala. Now many Muslims, they have a misunderstanding. And I have been doing some small research on this issue, and I asked some Muslims the last few days. And we have a ta'an, a khalal, a defect, a misunderstanding, and our fahm of this issue of al-qadr. Many of us, they say, well, if I sit down and I do nothing, that's from the qadr of Allah. If I try a little bit, then that's from the qadr of Allah. We find that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in the hadith, which is collected in Sahih Muslim, where he went on to say, كل شيء بقدر حتى عجزي وكيسي. Or كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. Everything, ya ikhwan, ya akhawat, occurs by the decree. Even the inability and the capability. The inability and the capability. So if you sat on your butt, that means that you never strove hard to do something. So if you were not going to make no money for the day, ya ikhwan, blame yourself. But if you got up and you strove as hard as you could, and you still didn't get anything, it's from Allah's will that you get something. But the point here, ya ikhwan, ya akhawat, is that a Muslim must be one who gets up and he works. He's not kasal, he's not kasal al-muhin, he's not a lazy individual who just sits down like a monk and expect the sustenance to just drop in his lap. He has to get busy and work, ya ikhwan. These are some issues that, brothers, believe me when I'm telling you, we are just scraping over the surface of this issue. And with that, أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله وأتوب إليه وشاء الله المسلمين أجمعين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. When we look at this issue, ya ikhwan, ya akhawat, being believers in Allah in the last day, there is the utmost importance, ya ikhwan, that for us to have, as we know the ayah Allah Ta'ala says, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Some of the Muslims, they have the إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. They believe. They have a good aqidah sahiha. They have a good understanding of the religion, but some of them, they're lazy. They don't work. Some of the Muslims, and this is a vast majority of the Muslims, they do a lot of actions, a lot of amal salih, but they have no knowledge. They have no understanding. Ya ikhwan, for our actions and for our deeds to be acceptable, one of the conditions, ya ikhwan, is for us to be a Muslim. Inna deena indallahi Islam. The only religion that is acceptable to Allah Ta'ala is al-Islam. The second one, ya ikhwan, is ittiba' al-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَمَا أَتَاكَمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَحَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. Whatever the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gives you, you take it. And whatever he tells you to stay away from, you stay away from it. And the third one, ya ikhwan, is the niyyah, is the intention that you're doing it lillahi ta'ala. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. And they have not been commanded except for to be sincere to Allah Ta'ala. So ya ikhwan, when we look at this, knowledge and action, they go hand in hand. Knowledge and action, they go hand in hand. And if we were to take a quiz right now, and if I was to ask the Muslims, the third point for today's khutbah, the issue, ya ikhwan, of al-Qadr al-khayrihi wa sharrihi wa hulwihi wa murrihi wa min Allah ta'ala. The Qadr. We are happy if a brother comes up to us during the month of Ramadan and he puts $100 in our pocket. We say, Alhamdulillah! Alhamdulillah, the Qadr is with me today. Alhamdulillah, someone just came and gave me $100. Alhamdulillah, we accept that. But, ya ikhwan, if you park somewhere and you got a $100 ticket, you would be upset and frustrated. The Qadr, the good and the bad. Also, ya ikhwan, if you were driving down the road after you've had a lot of problems, and then all of a sudden someone came and they said, brother, all your problems are finished. Here's $50,000. This is from the sweetness of the Qadr. We'd be so ecstatic. Alhamdulillah, a Muslim brother, he's dying, and he gave me $50,000 because he sees me praying in the masjid. We would be so happy. But also, ya ikhwan, the other issue, where you find that you're afflicted after being afflicted, ya ikhwan, this is the murr, this is the sourness. So the Qadr is, ya ikhwan, four main points. Al-Qadr, al-khayrihi, wa sharrihi, wa hulwihi, wa murrihi, wa min Allah ta'ala. The Qadr, the good, the bad, the sweet, the sour, it is all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya ikhwan, in my life, in my personal life, becoming Muslim many years ago, my parents had kicked me out of their house, but many years later, alhamdulillah, now I have a better relationship with my parents. So it was sour at one time, now alhamdulillah, it's a sweet situation. Also, ya ikhwan, I have started many businesses that have flopped. But from all those hardships, ya ikhwan, those adha, I have learned many lessons, ya ikhwan. Knowing what to do and knowing not what to do. So there is the sweet and there is the sour, there is the good, there is the bad. We have to accept it. It is from the articles of Iman that whatever good happens to us, we accept it, and whatever evil happens to us, then ya ikhwan, we accept it as well. Allah Ta'ala would like to say, Inna kullu shay'in khalaqnahu bil Qadr, that every single thing, ya ikhwan, it has been created by Allah's Qadr. We are here today, ya ikhwan, ya akhwat, because it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Qadr. A few weeks ago, I had the intention to go down to St. Catherine's, to go there and be with the brothers for Jummah. But Allah Ta'ala had willed that no, I'm going to stay right here in the city. No matter how frustrated an individual can be with what happens, he has to say, and this is the last point, the conclusion, ya ikhwan, this should be coming off the Muslims' lips. And it used to be a phrase that the Prophet ﷺ and his companions used to teach each other. And it was handed down to us, but we forgot it. Qadr Allah ma shafa'a. Whatever Allah wills, it's going to happen. Whatever Allah wills, ya ikhwan, it's going to happen. So, as I was crossing the city late last night, 1 o'clock in the night, a horrible rainstorm. Wa subhanallah. But when we look at it, also we had the opportunity to make dua. And as mumattiran yanzilu fil sama', as the rain fell down, we're making dua, we're making supplication. But ya ikhwan, many times when I was driving last night with 2 hands on my wheel, I had to flip the car into neutral just to balance the car off because the car was hydroplaning. Driving on the way home, we've seen many accidents on the road. So for those who got into accidents last night, Qadr Allah ma shafa'a. This was Allah's will. So ya ikhwan, the Muslim is the one that even though things happen, he must swallow Allah's decree and be content with it. And one of the things, ya ikhwan, as we were researching, that when the Muslims lost the battle of Uhud, after getting the commands directly from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah wa rahmatullahi wasi'ah, explaining this issue of looking at the tariq, looking at the history of the Muslims fighting the battle of Uhud and losing. Many of the Muslims, they thought that this was a terrible thing, a thing unspeakable, a thing to forget about, a thing to put down our head. But ya ikhwan, the one who has farasa and basira, he looks at the situation and he smiles, ya ikhwan. Because from that instance, the ummah was able to get many fawaid, many benefits from this, ya ikhwan. From the benefits that we see from these things, we see, ya ikhwan, that Allah had forgiven those Muslims, the Sahaba Ridwanullahi ajma'in. Also we see, ya ikhwan, from that, the Prophet ﷺ making dua for them. Also we see, ya ikhwan, the strategies. And when you lose, ya ikhwan, or something happens bad in your life, that's one day. Keep moving on. Tomorrow's a new day. If you had a terrible day today, or a terrible week, you didn't make that much money this week, ya ikhwan, and you're feeling down in the dumps. You don't have any money in your pocket. Your rent isn't due. No worry, ya ikhwan. No worry, ya akhawat. The one who controls the heavens and the universe, Al-Ghani, Al-Razaq, the rich, the one who sustains, he can give you lots of money next weekend. He can give you a good opportunity next weekend. But ya ikhwan, every single thing that we're living through right now, it has been written. It has been written in the Lawh al-Mahfuz, in the prescribed tablet. And some of the Muslims asking them, quizzing them about this issue, not knowing very much, ya ikhwan. My question to the brothers and sisters. Recently, a non-Muslim came and asked me, what is it that I believe in? What is my i'tiqad? What is my belief? And I explained my belief. I explained to him Iman. I explained to him Islam. And I explained to him Ihsan. I quoted the Arabic. And then I explained to him in the English. And then I asked him what he believes in. And he wasn't very sure. Another Muslim was there who came 2 minutes later. And I said to him, well, don't worry about it, Mr. Christian. Most of the Muslims, they don't know their belief either. And Ahmed came and I said, Ahmed, what's the belief of the Muslims? He didn't know the basics, ya ikhwan. This is ibtida'iyah. This is the beginning of learning. Al-imanu qawlun bil-lisan wa tasdiqun bil-qalb. وَأَمْلَ بِالْجَوَارِ. Iman, it is a statement on the tongue. It is a belief that's firmly fixed in the heart, and its actions on the lips. This is, ya ikhwan, al-Iman. Al-Islam, huwa al-istislamu lillahi bit-tawheed, wa-inqiyad lahu bit-ta'ati, wa khulusan min ash-shirki wa ahlihi. That Islam is the complete submission and surrender to Allah, and that we disassociate ourselves from shirk and the people of shirk. And ya ikhwan, the highest level, and I'm not sure, but I'm sure there's someone amongst the earth that reaches this caliber. I don't know who the muhsinun are. Maybe there's some amongst us. Al-ihsanu an ta'bud Allah ka'annaka taraha fa'in lam takun tarahu fa'innahu yuraka. That ihsan, it means excellence, ya ikhwan. It does not mean Sufism. Al-ihsan an ta'bud Allah ka'annaka taraha fa'innahu lam takun tarahu fa'innahu yuraka. That ihsan, it is to worship Allah as if you see Him. But no, you can't see Allah, but Allah, He sees you. So ya akhwan, ya akhwat, these are the basics of the religion. These are the basics. If we were to quiz the vast majority, the children might actually know more than us. So it's time for us, ya akhwan, to rujur, to return to the kutub al-Islamiyah, to the books, to the ulama, to the understanding of these issues. And this, ya akhwan, is point number 1 of Sufyan ibn Uyayna's al-i'tiqad, as there's 9 more points. And with Allah's permission, we'll be able to present all 9 points, or the rest of the points, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Wa akhir da'wana, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa aqim as-salat wa rahmakallah.